And away we go. It is the BCJ podcast, brought to you by the Holy Grail right here on BearcatJournal.com. Everybody is headed downtown to the banks these days. And while you're there, checking out the Reds, or maybe even as we are getting close to training camp opening, going to check out the Bengals, make sure you are stopping by to visit our good friends at the Holy Grail. I did so over the weekend. Got a little pizza while we were down doing the Swifty fun. And, take care of the people that take care of us and visit our good friends at the Holy Grail. Hi, Dave.
Hello.
How you doing, buddy?
I'm good. How are you?
Pretty good. Had a good week so far. Checked out. Got to host my first ever sports talk.
Listened to some of that last night on the way home from my parents. I'm just trying to boost your numbers.
I appreciate that.
The topic I don't care about, but you're my guy, so I'm gonna have it on and just not have the volume on.
Hey, every little bit counts, Dave. Every little bit counts. Look, I mean, I didn't expect at this point in time to be talking much about the Reds this summer. They have forced our hand. But yeah, so that was a good time. I was in for Mo on Monday and then sports talk yesterday. So getting my radio filled this week. But it's Big 12 time, Dave. The Bearcats are in the Big 12.
They are.
The all Big 12 preseason team is out. Dante Corleone has his own burger. That's a pretty cool deal to come out of the NIL collective. Like it's crazy, Dave. Some places are actually using NIL for what it was supposed to be used for. It's crazy. Not just buying recruits.
Wow.
And much more. We Big 12 Media Days coming up next week. So Keegan will be there. Might have to sneak him onto the show next week.
Absolutely. I mean, to me, that's like the official kickoff of the football season. You have 2 full days where like lots of media people will be there, and there's actually like shows and interviews built around the football teams, and not like, here's your coach that just went to the college football playoff for 8 minutes on ESPN Plus, and so it's fun. As a Tennessee fan, I think SEC Media Days is like, it's way too much. 3 days. I mean, when Oklahoma and Texas join, is it going to be just a week long?
Yeah, they're just going to go like four schools a day all week.
Breaking news.
What's that?
Cass Simmons, if you know, you know. Whoa!
Huh.
Hashtag trenches.
Interesting. Very interesting.
I have a suspicion, but it's not anything I would feel good about not saying, because obviously I'm not going to say it. But there you go. But as I was saying, if you jumped on early, you got that one live. But like the Big 12 is going to have a media day that behooves a conference that cares about football, and I'm very excited to check out what Keegan is able to uncover, and does he get a one-on-one with Coach Satterfield? Does he, what kind of questions is he asking him, other coaches about, possibly about UC? Hopefully he doesn't do any tell me about questions, because I don't like those at all.
Can you talk about, Coach? Can
you talk about how great your offseason was and how you got bigger, faster, and stronger, and how all your recruits are great?
Coach, can you tell me about Those are always they always get really get to the heart of things.
I feel like if I was a coach, I would just be like, no,
I can't.
Like, can you ask me a question that makes me think a little, or are you going to ask me a question that you could literally just like go to the gobearcats.com and get the answer to?
Sorry, I actually can't. No.
Very fun. If it's anything like, what was it? I guess it was last media. Has it already been a year? Like that Brett Yormark's been there, or was that basketball?
Well, like he was supposed to start like later, I think, right?
And yeah. So I guess it has been. I guess it has been a year because I remember, media days or whatever back at at the Cowboys Stadium. I assume that's where it is again. But no, it's good. We get through next week, and you're less than 2 months from opening kickoff, man. We are fast approaching September 2nd. I mean, we're getting there.
We get to next week, and we're 2 weeks from camp. We're about 3.5 weeks from camp right now. I think right at the beginning of August is when it's going to start. They will be going out to Camp Higher Ground for anybody that was curious about that. That will be happening. I don't know exactly. If I recall correctly, Dave, most of the time, year one, they're not out there quite as long. And then a coach experiences it that first year, and then they're like, "Oh, we're spending every day out there."
I mean, let's be honest. We care about us. So I would be more than delighted if they decided to, have like
a little bit more back
a week or so back on campus.
I don't think it'll be a week. I just know that, like, thinking, everybody, because this is not, it's Higher Ground is not normal. Like, it's not what college football teams do. So everybody gets here that first year and they're like, we'll go out there, but I don't know. And then they go out there and they're like, "Oh, we're never going home. Can we just be here all the time?" So we'll see. I mean, that's just it's pretty standard. I've heard 2 weeks out there.
Yeah.
I know there have been times that it's been 3 weeks, 2.5 weeks, 3 weeks, but essentially you get a month from the first game.
Yeah.
So 2 weeks sounds about normal, about standard. So looking forward to that. Where would you like to start today, David? Where would you like to get moving?
Let's since apparently there's a new commitment. Let's start with Cruton. Cruton.
Phoenix High School.
Central High School
in Phoenix, Alabama.
City, Alabama. Yes.
They seem to be pretty good.
Yeah. Obviously,
I don't know.
Obviously, Jaquan Sanks, the commit, corner, watched some tape. I think he's going to be slot or safety, depending on development, things of that nature.
So why does he not project to the outside in your eyes?
Because I think the things that he's really good at, he could be better utilized closer to the line and more, like a slot. Like, I think he's got really good change of direction. Like on some choice routes, he shows that he can really recognize it, put his foot in the ground, and mirror the route. From a size and maybe pure long speed standpoint, maybe not for the outside, but he's played a lot in those type of roles. Like, he's played from what I've watched, he's played a lot close to the line of scrimmage. He's played a lot in the slot. He's got good hips, good movement skills in space like that. So I'm thinking that, based on that very amateur evaluation, but I see like a slot guy who, if he does grow a little bit or or bulks up a little bit, could also be a safety, playing kind of the in between the hashes, covering slot guys, covering tight ends, stuff like that.
Gotcha.
But yeah, Phoenix City has a 5-star receiver, obviously Red Morgan, who you see recruited very heavily, that committed to Florida State. They have a defensive lineman committed to Alabama. They have another cornerback that's like a high 3-star that is uncommitted. Yeah, they've got some guys. They've got a running back that's committed to Western Kentucky. It's in the top 50 in the state. Like, he's going to be around some good guys. And then with Red Morgan and another really good defensive back, I bet he's probably going to get some opportunities this year. Not saying that he's third tier guy, but like, if you're going to throw in these guys, that's going to be tough sledding. If you've got a safety going to Florida State, a corner going to UC, and then another high level corner, it doesn't sound very fun to throw against.
And they had a 5-star receiver that just committed too, didn't they?
Committed to actually like a pretty big stunner, committed to Texas A&M.
Yeah, that's it's a lot of talent. You don't find many high schools that pump out, and I mean it's the same high school as JQ Hardaway.
Yeah,
JQ was at.
Mm-hmm.
So very clear that, and I remember that year they had a bunch of dudes as well. Wonder if they get into the Cruton game a little bit down there. And is it Phoenix? It's not spelled Phoenix.
I don't know. Yeah, there's a letter missing.
Yeah, it's spelled Phoenix.
So Phoenix maybe, but I don't know.
I don't either.
But I really like, talking about this class specifically, 17 commits. I really like what they've done in the secondary, because I think you've got a little bit of everything. You've got, what I imagine is your true outside guy in Daniel James. You've got some high-level safeties in, Quavo Sabor and Willie Goodwin. Could have some position flex on those guys. You've got Gravy Johnson, who we list as a safety, but at 6'2", 170. I mean, DBs is hard. Like, who knows? Because what does their high school team need? Like, are the rest of the DBs just straight trash? And so they need you to, like, play outside corner and match up with the other team's best receiver, even though that might not be where you project at college? Are you on a team like Jaquan Sanks is, where you have a lot of good DBs, and maybe you're playing slot because they just need you to play slot because they got two other really good guys playing safety and outside.
Right.
And maybe that's not where you project in college.
Right.
So it's hard, but I like the kind of everything that they've done there with 5 guys that, there's probably some of them are going to stick a corner, some of them are going to stick a safety, some might move around a little bit depending on how the defense operates. But, you've got a couple guys that, I think Goodwin has like high level speed. I think the other guys have good to really good speed, but I think that's been the biggest thing too out of this class as a whole that I was looking for was, I felt at least they needed to, and these guys probably, very unlikely they'll contribute next year, but moving to the Big 12, I mean, you just got to get faster. I think that's the thing we've talked about when they've played the highest level teams. It's obviously been in the trenches. I mean, but that's been the case forever. And that's hopefully rectifies itself over time. It's not going to fix itself in 1 year. But I think the speed on the outside too, when you play some of the elite teams that have, serious speed at running back, serious speed at wide receiver, the defense I felt needed to get faster. And I think with this group, and then you throw in, Cale Woodburn, Dakari Anderson on offense, like those dudes can burn on the outside. So Samaj Jones, he's got wheels for a QB.
Yeah.
I think they're doing a pretty good job in that regard.
Well, if you're spending as much time recruiting the South as they are recruiting the South in this cycle, you would hope that you recruit the South to get speed.
Yeah.
Nobody's like, let's go get the big boys from the South. No, you just go get the wheels from the South.
Yeah, I mean, I think you just like anymore. Georgia, Florida, Alabama, Louisiana, like they got I mean, there's just a population migration down there. South Carolina, North Carolina, like that's where the players are, man. Like I know we've talked about it ad nauseum. Like I actually looked it up because I was just interested. Like Ohio hasn't had a 5-star for 3 cycles. They have about
it's declining.
They have about 10 to 13 4-stars, give or take, going back to 2020. And it's still, it's not that it's not important, but like you got to get the players. And if the players are not here anymore, then you got to go get them.
Right.
It
doesn't feel like Ohio is at least currently producing talent like they have been.
No, I mean it's still good, and it's still
but
in the upper echelon of states that UC could realistically recruit. Like UC is not realistically recruiting Texas or California,
right?
So like Ohio is still very high with talent, but like Georgia, Florida are ahead of them. They're probably in a similar place, maybe still better, but the gap is shrinking with Michigan. So,
Yeah, I mean, Michigan's coming in. Like, these are all things that you have to kind of, I know just because UC's in Ohio, like, okay, well, then they have to be great in Ohio. Fix it, Wisconsin. Freeman's at Notre Dame. Like the competition, Michigan is dipping back in because they're not getting their ass kicked by Ohio State every year now. The competition for Ohio for a shrinking number of high-level kids is getting more and more intense.
Yes, and it's interesting too because like Ohio State has the chance to have like one of the best recruiting classes ever.
Right.
But yet, like, I think they'll probably lose to Michigan for a 3rd year in a row. So it's like it's this weird balance of what's going on there. But yeah, I mean, we need to still make our hay in that 15 to 40 ranking, regardless of what the ranking is. Like you've got to stock up on those dudes. Those dudes develop, they stick around, they want to be a part of the program. So, we'll see in the 2025 class what they do. I mean, I think there's still maybe a couple guys in the 24 class. I mean, so many guys are committed already. So, but we'll see. But no, I mean, back to saying, because I think they're doing a really good job in the DB room, safeties and corners, and now they've got to, address what keep adding off. I mean, we all want tackles, but so does everybody else. But just keep adding off.
You got to find them.
Keep adding quality offensive and defensive linemen. I mean, we're going to graduate a lot of D linemen this year, or go pro. So they need to restock that room as well. So,
yep, inside and outside.
Oh yeah,
not just
across the D line, like
yeah. All right, that's Cruton. Maybe we'll have something to talk about on the nightcap tomorrow night or sometime soon. Did you get my text?
I did.
Is that what you thought? No? Is that a surprise?
No.
It is what you thought?
No, not a surprise. Yeah.
All right. Sometimes we just talk it out. Dave, the Big 12, the media preseason football team is out. The Bearcats have 2 representatives. Dante Corleone on the defensive line, no surprise. And the first team, or the punter, Mason Fletcher. Also, kind of no surprise, right? Like we had a feeling he was going to be the best punter in this conference entering the league. Maybe the best punter in the country.
Yeah. Yeah, I would think so. I mean, if there was let's see. He was first team. I got my athlon in front of me, so I know it's not. But he was first team. Texas Tech's punter was second team, and Texas is third. So I don't know anything about either of those guys, but if they were better than Mason Fletcher, then they must be pretty damn good.
He's
so
pretty damn good.
Mason being first team is not a surprise.
No. Corleone obviously getting all of the love. Was there anybody else you thought maybe could sneak in there? Like maybe a Deshaun Pace?
On first team?
Yeah. I
No.
mean, that's what makes it hard, is this is just first team.
No, it's just, and I just like I don't know enough of these Big 12 guys yet to be like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this guy made it over, so and so. But no, not on first team.
There's another Kobe Bryant.
Yes, at Kansas.
Yeah.
That plays corner.
Yes.
He spells his name Cobbee.
Right. You gotta get creative when you're stealing somebody's name.
That's right.
Nobody from any of the other newcomers, right? Or no, BYU's got an offensive lineman.
Yep, Kingsley, whatever.
Yeah, Kingsley. Suamatia.
Yeah. See, like that. I mean, he must have. No, see that. This is just he's third team on athlons.
6'6", 315 sophomore from Orem, Utah.
Yeah, he's a big dude. But yeah, nobody for Houston, nobody for UCF.
Are you surprised at the size of the 6'6" is the biggest one? 6'5", 305, 6'4", 335, 6'4", 318, 6'3", 310. Like, that's not very big by tradition. Like what I think of as
6'5" or taller at tackle and 315 to 330.
I mean, the kid at Kansas State, I guess he's a guard, 6'4", 335.
It still shows you. I mean, even to the Big 12, it shows you the difference of
the SEC,
and what really just the SEC. I mean, the SEC out is the one that's putting out those. I just think of the Georgia and Alabama guys, like the DJ Flukers and the Andrew Thomases, that are, Broderick Jones this year. That's just 6'6", 6'7", 330. Darnell Wright from Tennessee this year. Like, even the Big Ten's not putting out very many guys in that range.
Right.
So, yeah. So, I mean, I know we've talked a little bit about some maybe what in our eyes, might be considered undersized to play tackle, but, going off of those Big Ten numbers or Big Ten guys, just looking strictly at the heights and weights, I guess maybe that's not the case.
Yeah, I mean, it didn't, and that's not to say that they're not scattered around the league. I'm just saying maybe this expectation that you have to go get these 6'7", 330 pounders at tackle isn't as true as maybe we
right,
kind of thought coming into this. If that's, you know what I mean?
Oh no, I do for sure.
The recent offensive line commit. Damn it. Jace Mitchell. 6'3", 275, but I know the staff thinks he's got long enough arms, and you probably do want him bigger than 6'3", but
sure,
it's maybe it's not out of the realm of possibility that you can make some things happen with guys that aren't 6'6" plus and 325 plus, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. All right, let's Anything else on the player of the year, Jalen Daniels at Kansas? That surprised you? The offensive player of the year.
No, I mean he was really, really good last year until he got hurt, and Kansas was pretty damn good until he got hurt. So I mean, if he stays healthy, then I could see that. I don't see their defense being good enough for them to make a serious play for the conference, but just from a strictly offensive standpoint, I mean, they were second in scoring last year, fifth in rushing, fifth in passing, fourth in total yards. So they, I don't know what they return. They've got an offensive lineman thought highly of. They've got a running back thought highly of. So they have some guys offensively that could help them out. So it's not a huge surprise to me.
And then Jalen Daniels, Jalen Ford, linebacker at Texas, the defensive player of the year.
Everything I've heard about him is that he's a bad dude. Like that definitely doesn't surprise me.
And then Trayshawn Ward from Kansas State.
No idea.
As the newcomer of the year.
No clue.
He's a transfer, right?
I mean, I would imagine because I doubt a true freshman's getting newcomer of the year marks or a redshirt freshman. I don't even know what position does he play.
Florida State running back, I guess.
Oh, okay. All right, yeah. So
yeah,
we'll see.
He's a part-timer for
another guy we don't have to worry about.
No, it's nice. just take all those guys at the top of the list and say, well, they will have to worry maybe about Jalen Daniels if he can stay healthy through the season.
Yeah.
Get him
playing,
at the end of the year.
Playing the last game of the year, so maybe we won't.
But don't have to worry about Texas. Don't have to worry about K-State. The other kind of newsy thing is Dante Corleone getting his own burger. Have you eaten at this place, Buckethead?
No, I have not.
I have not either. I don't. It's on the west side somewhere, I believe. But this is what NIL was supposed to be, right, Dave?
Yes, right.
It's refreshing to see. And he gets $2 for every burger sold. $2 for every burger in his name. That's not bad. It's not bad.
Yeah, hope a bunch of them are sold. Hope it's a good burger. And is it only for like restaurant week?
No, I think it's like an ongoing.
Or is that when it like starts?
I think it's when it starts.
Okay.
I think it's like an ongoing menu item for the big fella. But like I think that's that's the spirit of what it was supposed to be. You get a hometown kid, he's marketable, especially on the west side. You find a restaurant, you create something like this, the kid gets a little scratch. Like, I don't know. I know we knew it wasn't a surprise that when NIL became a thing, that it was going to be used in a manner that it was not intended. But it is nice to still see there is some sanctity in how this is being done.
Yeah. I mean, it's, it allows him to, promote himself. I mean, he can jump on Twitter or whatever and be like, hey, come check out my burger. Would really appreciate it. I've eaten them 17 days in a row and they're delicious, or or whatever the case may be. But yeah, I mean,
I think Nico might have a problem with that, but
depends on what else. I mean, if you ate a cheeseburger every day, but everything else you ate was good, maybe it's all right.
I mean, it's a cheeseburger topped with brisket and
an onion
ring. Yeah.
He's trying to stop dudes from running. I'm not looking for him to be eating salads and
I think they're also not looking for him to be 360 again. So.
No. No.
We'll see. What do you got, Dave? What do you
All
want
right, so I got the 2023 Big 12 unit preview rankings. Now, this needs to be taken with a little bit of grain of salt coming from Athlon because there's been some movement since our info was given to them and, put into
print.
Right. So I think some of these are off, but it's because they had to do this in March or whatever.
Right.
And then guys moved. Like, Alton McCaskill for Houston is still listed on the roster, and their running back ranking is 9th out of 14. I think that's too high because if you were ranking it based on having Alton McCaskill, then obviously it would be lower now that he's not going to be there.
Right.
So I'm going to give you the Bearcats and just give me the first thing that jumps out to you as far as, what you think is maybe too high, too low, or feels right.
Okay.
So, as remember, it's out of 14 teams. Quarterback, 12th. Running back, 14th. Wide receiver.
Too low.
That's the one I was like, that doesn't make any sense. Wide receiver, 13th. O-line, 14th. And then defense, D-line, 2nd. Linebackers, 8th. DBs, 5th. Texas is number 1 across the board, so they are officially back.
Number 1 in everything.
Every
position. They're
every
number 1.
position. Every position.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
I think wide receiver is going to end up being too low, but I get it.
Right.
I understand if you're like, look, like they've got one returning guy and he's been kind of a
role guy.
Yeah. I think Chris Scott has a chance to be pretty dang good.
Mm-hmm.
But at this point, just a guy. Offensive line, I mean, I guess I can't argue it. You know what I mean?
It's hard. It's hard for me to. I don't know. Is it the worst offensive line in the league? Maybe. I don't know what to compare it to. I have no idea what these teams have at offensive line for me to say this is outrageous. I think the running back one is outrageous. I do not think
that doesn't make any
under
sense.
any circumstances, whether people have left or not left, that they have the worst running back room in the complex.
Right.
That one's hard for me to believe, even without knowing anything about the other.
They've got a 4-star running back.
Yeah.
In Kiner.
And UCF is 13th, and I like DJ Harvey and Johnny Richardson. It's like, man, these other teams must have just insanely good running backs. Iowa State is 12th, and they ran for 3 point. We'll get into that later with our guest. But they're 12th, and they ran for 3.3 yards a carry last year.
Right.
So, can't all be on the offensive line.
And then offensive line, I think 14th is too low because I feel pretty good about the interior of the line.
Yeah.
So I get some trepidation because we're uncertain about how things are going to play out at tackle. But I feel pretty good about the interior.
I just don't know enough about the other
teams. 14th, to me, no matter how good the conference is, if you're listed at 14th, that's not good.
No, for sure.
I don't know, but what I guess what makes me feel better? 10th?
Yeah,
Like,
if they were 12th, we wouldn't be like, oh, well, great.
Yeah, it would be like 12th. I get it. There's a lot of question. There's a lot of unknown. They're probably gonna.
There's like no difference there.
Right. So. Yeah, I
the defensive line one is encouraging because for the same reason that we don't like, it's hard to say, should their offensive line be 14th when we don't know much about the other teams. For whoever ranks this, to still think that they're number 2 going into a league that most people would think would have a higher level of trench talent, to me that's really encouraging. That like this unit coming from the AAC is still looked at as a truly I won't say elite, but a truly really good offensive or defensive line.
Yeah, and especially because it's not like they've got a Maije, like where they've got this,
there's no one that they're pointing to and is like, this dude is coming off a 13 sack season.
And Greziak is Gresick.
But you're still projecting his numbers
to translate, right?
From coming from the Mountain West up to the Big 12.
Yeah.
So,
no, that's encouraging. I think linebacker they're going to be better than that.
I think they'll be good. The linebacker to me, like, I'm not going to say it doesn't matter, but like, if you're going to be lower in one of the 3 between defensive line, linebacker, and secondary, I'm fine being a little bit lower at linebacker.
Also, like we've talked about, like I feel like they only really have 2 actual linebackers slated to be on the field.
And that's the other thing with the rankings. Like, the people probably don't know exactly how guys are going to be used and things of that nature. So, is someone that's listed as linebacker really, 60% of the time going to be a defensive lineman?
Well, yeah, Greshik's listed as a linebacker, but he's playing. Like, did they consider him a rush end?
Right, that's what
I would have to assume they considered him a rush end.
Because he's that's what he was last year. But
yeah, so I don't know. I get everybody is going to have massive questions about the offense. Like they're just gonna there's no other way.
Well, how can you not
around that?
Almost all the players weren't here or didn't play a lot last year,
right? Like,
and now they're playing a new system.
If you really go through it, Gavin Gerhardt at center, and
Corey Kiner,
maybe. Like, what if Miles Montgomery wins the job?
But I'm just saying, like, of the guys coming back,
and Kiner was like the number 3 or 4 running back essentially last year. So, yeah, I get the doubt on offense or the kind of defaulting to, like, I'll believe it when I see it that they're going to be good on offense. Like, I understand that.
Right.
I mean, even, tight end, like Shaman might have had a bigger role last year, but he got hurt.
Right.
And everybody complained that they didn't use the tight ends enough anyway. So I don't think there's much to disagree with other than, like, I don't know about last. Like, running back, I do think they're not that bad at running back. Right. Unless it's just a league where, everybody's, the 85 Bears with Walter Payton. I know it's a league with a lot of good running backs, but I have a hard time believing Cincinnati is the worst running back room in the conference.
I agree.
That's just me. Offensive line, I'm not going to argue with you. They have one returning guy. Like, if you want to say that,
and it wasn't,
and
the unit wasn't good last year,
right?
So having new guys doesn't automatically equate to better.
Sure, but there's also that thing where, like, well, they were bad last year, but they got everybody back, so they should be better. where's the empirical evidence in that? I always laugh at that. Like, a team wasn't good last year, but they've got everybody back, so they should be better this year. No, they got everybody back from bad.
Right.
What makes you believe they're going to be better?
Well, that's what I'm going to be asking our Iowa State guest when he arrives. Is their offensive line wasn't any good. They didn't run the ball very well at all. 4 out of 5 starters seem to be back, according to my magazine. Is that good?
Right.
Like, the whole experience thing only matters if the experience coming back was good.
Right. Like Cincinnati coming off of 2021 going into 2022, that made sense.
Yeah.
Or coming off of 2020 and going
you don't
into
just automatically get better the older you get.
Right. I mean, I guess that hypothetically there's improvement, but if you
how much improvement do you go from rushing
to
3.7 yards a carry instead of 3.3? Still bad.
Right.
Just less bad.
Less bad. A little less bad. What else we got? We got anything? Like we got another 19 minutes to kill before
hopefully
before Nick shows up, right?
He said, around 9, maybe maybe sooner. I mean, depends on how dinner with family was going.
Where were they having dinner? We're going to have.
I didn't get into that much detail with him. But speaking of the Godfather cheeseburger, if there was, if you could have a food named after you, what would the food be?
Probably a sandwich. I'm a sandwich guy. I love a good sandwich.
What would be on this sandwich?
You put me on the spot here. Sandwich, creating a sandwich is tough though, because there's so many already good like sandwiches.
It doesn't have to be a innovative one. I would just have an Italian,
some kind of it, probably some kind of Italian, because there's a bunch so my favorite sandwich is probably a really well executed Cuban.
Yeah.
Because when you get that Cuban
where they actually roasted the pork and good ham and good pickles and
I had a Cuban the other day that it was pulled pork. It was smoked pork.
I feel like that's not the same.
It's good, but it's not. It doesn't taste like a Cuban.
No.
And you got to get the bread and the right panini press.
Yes.
An Italian, you can go a lot of different ways with it.
Right.
Are you like me? Do you almost get offended when you see an Italian that just has two ham and pepperoni? Or
it has to be okay. So I'm not really a ham guy, a true ham guy.
Well, prosciutto, it's supposed to be prosciutto.
Right, but you see a lot of the fast food, fast casual places will have salami, pepperoni, and ham.
Yeah.
Just regular ham. If this was me, I'm going pepperoni, Genoa salami, mortadella, and spicy capicola. Those are my 4 meats.
I'm down with it. I'm down with it. I've talked about it. I'm on a carbonara kick, so maybe I'd have a good carbonara, some real legit carbonara.
A 2-pound bowl of carbonara.
Yeah.
The Brendel.
The Brendel. So big giant bowl of carbonara. It's got to be fresh made pasta. It's got to be the real deal.
I think there should be more foods named after college athletes. It's fun.
Yeah. Find your favorite spot.
I hope they do. I hope they keep the skyline thing going. I thought that was fun.
I didn't see that last year.
I don't either. I don't remember. Maybe they didn't do it last year. I don't know. Everything runs together for me.
Would it depend on your restaurant, what spot it is? What kind of food you would have named after you? Reagan says she wakes up every day thinking about an Italian sandwich.
Reagan and I have a lot in common, apparently.
What's the best Italian in the city?
Well,
My favorite doesn't exist anymore.
Neither does mine. There was a spot in like Old Mount Washington that was like a New York style. Now it's a pizza place that I know that has a couple locations around town. That is good pizza on the east side. The name is going to escape me, but it was like in old Mount Washington, not even really considered Anderson, right by where our first house was.
Yeah,
I liked that one a lot. Outside, it's
mine was Fred and Gary's.
Yeah, that one's good.
Downtown, that one was really good, but they're closed. They're no longer with us.
Yeah, that goes. I mean, there's just, I'm not gonna give a fast casual place.
No.
I mean, some of them are fine and they're good when you want an Italian sandwich. It's not because there's just not a lot of options. There's not a lot of it's one of my big misses in Cincinnati in general. There's not a lot of delis, period, where you go in and get a sandwich made.
There's not enough.
Well, yeah, there's hardly any.
Yeah, there needs to be many, many more.
So, like, my northeastern roots, and like when I would live in New York or when I lived in Rhode Island, and you go into just like a convenience store, basically, and you get a bagel sandwich in the morning, and you can get a sub or whatever they call it, hoagie for lunch or dinner. Like those are the spots. We don't have much of that in this part of the country.
No, and the ones that do, they try, but it doesn't. You know what I think one of the big problems here is I don't think there's not much good bread selection in this town. Actually, you know what I would have named after myself?
What's that?
The spicy chicken parm at the bread bar.
Oh yeah, that
would have been the Brendel.
I never got to have one of those.
That's a top 3 sandwich I've ever had anywhere in the world. Like that would have been the Brendel. There you go. I have had Carl's Deli, Reagan. It's good.
I have not.
It's good. That was I think that was Kelly. That's what I got for Kelly for her birthday. Was Carl's Deli. So yeah. So there's a sentimental tie to Carl's Deli.
Apparently, it reopened in May under new owners.
Who?
Carl's Deli. I guess it was closed for a time.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. Okay.
Now it's open.
I went in March.
Oh, okay.
So it must have been a quick turnaround.
But no, how about what Peach? We'll switch it up to some basketball real quick. Peach Jam just started. Is that right? Today?
It actually.
Or did they
On
play?
the 3rd. They played on the 4th of July.
Well, that's nice of them.
Yeah.
Why would you do that to these families?
They had to be. They played on the 3rd. And then I think on the 4th of July, they instead of doing like a full day, I think everybody had one game.
You couldn't have just started it today.
The way that they've been doing Peach Jam the last couple of years is it runs for like normally these events are like 4 days, 5 days tops. Like it runs for like 7 or 8 days. So I guess the only way that they could do it to line up with Sunday being the day that coaches the last day
championship or whatever,
so the coaches can watch the championship. They had to start it on the 3rd and go 3rd through the 9th.
Well, I mean,
I don't like it at all.
I have nothing. I have nothing to do with it, so it doesn't inconvenience me in the slightest. But I just think that that's kind of a crappy thing to do to families and people that like. I get this time off of work, but instead of just spending it with my family or taking it, I have to drive to, South Carolina to go watch a basketball event.
I agree. Me and Nike, I know ways around now, like the way Nike does things, but they make it really difficult. It's a pain in the ass every year, especially down there. They've even gotten so far as like they deny the media, but though you can pay, you can go pay whatever to get in every day, and they will gladly take your money,
Right.
but they won't give you media credentials. It's I don't know, like the company that runs the stuff around it it drives me nuts. Luckily, I've been around long enough that I have
Perfect timing.
Yes. Nick, what's going on? How are you?
What's up, guys? Good to see you.
You too.
Good to see ya.
Thanks for coming on. You have perfect timing.
Oh yeah, good. I'm sorry it was a little late. Just had a family dinner.
No, we were just talking about some food. So.
Oh, nice. So I'm seeing some family here in Wisconsin, where I'm from. So it was a spot I grew up going to, and got a little barbecue mac and cheese tonight.
There you go. Can you drive to Madison and slash Fickle's tires for us?
Oh, I don't think I can do that, guys. I don't think so. I didn't even think of that connection.
No, we're kidding.
Luke is a good friend.
I know.
To me. Maybe not Dave, but to me.
No.
I heard he's an awesome guy. Yes, sir.
He is a good guy. But thank you for joining us. Obviously cover Iowa State.
Yep.
So just wanted to, kind of get your thoughts on this upcoming season, and I'll kind of start it with, from the outside, last year was, I would say, and from your perspective too, probably a pretty big struggle. Matt Campbell made several staff changes, one of which was offensive coordinator Tom Manning, who was hired at UC for a short period of time.
Another connection there, yeah.
Before heading off to the NFL. Is it fair to say it's make or break season for Coach Campbell, or has he kind of built up enough equity in the previous years with the fans and the administration that he could possibly withstand another season similar to last?
Yeah, interesting question, David. I would say, it's not make or break for him. Just the way that, he's respected, almost revered at times around Iowa State. What he's done with the program, it certainly does not hurt. Iowa State just had their first round pick in the draft for football in a very long time. So, I definitely wouldn't quite say that, though I will say, I think it's an ever important season to really show a little bit improvement compared to last year. I don't think they need to go 8-4, 9-3, something like that. But I think, guys, they need to be bowling again. I think that there's enough talent on this team. They lost some major names the last 2 years, but the recruiting classes have continued to really kind of show some more talent and depth. I think that the new hires or some of the shakeups, like the promotion of OC Nate Shieldhouse, I should say to OC, I think that's a really, really smart move, guys. I think that, this staff, I get the chance to see them a little bit at prospect camps and things like that. I think there's a lot of kind of energy infused into the program right now. And I think while improvement is expected and should be there, I wouldn't say make or break, Dave.
Right, and that probably was too much of a either or, but typically you see a coach that's been at a place for a little while, has built them up from, I won't say nothing, but has clearly had some of the best years in Iowa State history. And then he makes a bunch of staff changes. So you almost get the sense of well, is he doing this to save his job because someone told him he needed to, or how is kind of that dynamic work? So, understanding that and understanding the offensive struggles last year, how is new offensive coordinator Nate Shieldhouse? Are they changing it completely? Is he kind of tweaking it around the edges? What should we expect offensively this year compared to the last couple?
Yeah, I would say, more of kind of from what I've garnered, and we don't necessarily get a lot of on-field viewing access, at least throughout kind of spring ball and fall camp coming up. But, I feel like I've got a pretty good idea. I don't expect them to really try to like reinvent the wheel, as they say. I think the offense will look similar. I think that in the latter part of, kind of last year towards, a little bit more toward the end, I would say, things got a little better at times in terms of like spreading the ball, tight end usage. And there's a lot of talent at some of those pass catching positions. I see some of those areas maybe being spread out a little bit more, specifically with Xavier Hutchinson now in the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
I think that the run game will be a major factor, especially as you hope the health is a little better around the program, specifically at tailback. And then, I'm sure there will be twists and plenty of new plays and things like that. There's obviously a new offensive line coach as well, which has been major in terms of a lot of the buzz coming out of the program. Kind of some of the ways he's instilled confidence in these young guys and the team throughout. I think it'll be intriguing, guys. I wouldn't say necessarily completely different, though.
Okay.
We are talking to Nick Olson. Olson, right?
Yeah, perfect. Yep.
Right? Perfect. Iowa State beat reporter here on 24/7 Sports. And this segment, as always, the Big 12 look ahead as we get a feel for the Big 12 teams that Cincinnati is going to be joining for this first season, is brought to you by Team Ticker. See it right there behind me. It's a one-of-a-kind sports sign for Bearcats fans. It's a high-tech retro display that provides daily updates of the latest news, stats, schedules, betting odds, and much more. No subscription required. If you're looking for that perfect addition to your man cave or a gift for that special Bearcats fan, go to teamticker.com and pick up your Team Ticker today. Local company started by 2 UC alumni. Easy to hang up. We keep trying to tell Dave that, but he insists that he has to overhaul his whole house to get his Team Ticker installed. It's a high-tech retro-looking display, and they are officially licensed through the Collegiate Licensing Company and manufactured right here in Ohio. There you go. I just wanted to get that read in.
There you go. Hopefully,
it's pretty sweet, isn't it?
Hopefully, they sell a bunch and you can get them for a bunch of programs.
Cool, I actually had my eyes on it a little bit before. That's pretty sweet.
Yeah, at kickoff of every game, it plays the fight song.
Wow.
Yeah.
Do I see total wins number and an opponent there as well?
Oklahoma total wins predicted, over under is 9.5. Like they just update with it's like 6 minutes. The scroll is like 6 minutes of stuff that you get every day.
That's really
cool,
man.
Very cool. Teamticker.com. Go check it out.
Let's stick on the offensive side. Big issue last year was running the ball, 3.3 yards a carry. Going off of Athlon, 4 out of the 5 starters that they list are returning on the offensive line. Is that accurate? And 2, are we to expect improvement based on the offensive line coach change, maybe some offense change, or should we also maybe see a jump from these guys? Sometimes experience doesn't equal better. So, what are kind of your feelings on the offensive line this year, and is that kind of where everything starts for Iowa State?
So I'll say it's absolutely, David, where everything starts. I think you can definitely look at that, after kind of a tough couple of years, we'll say, maybe with some of the little bit of the run game, being tough. Obviously, Breece Hall was a superstar. That speaks a lot to his ability as we saw on the next level. I think this is a time where experience is generally a good thing. I expect several of those returners, David, to be starting again. Maybe a young guy here or there. A couple names have been buzzing since the spring. Outside of that, I just feel like, again, stuff like this, maybe it sounds cliche, but I'm telling you, being around these guys, there's a new level of just energy, buzz, like trust, focus with the offensive line, just in terms of some things cleaning up. And that's not just because of Coach Ryan Clanton, who has done a great job so far, but the new strength coach, Reed Kagi, he seems to be making very quick and important dividends, within the O-line. really throughout the entire team, but especially some of those linemen. I think that's a spot that there is a lot of room to grow. And while it may not be like a top level unit quite yet, I anticipate it being heavily, heavily improved.
You mentioned the Xavier Hutchinson, excuse me, heading off to the NFL. Who are kind of the playmakers, so to speak, that if this offense is gonna, it was 20 points-ish per game last year, last in the league, and 10 points per game last compared to the 9th place team. Who are the guys that are going to help that unit as a whole really kind of get closer to that 30-point per game number?
Yeah, so a guy that's been around a few years now, this is year 3, Jalen Knoll. He's shown incredible flashes, I think, of the Texas game I was at last year. He's a speedster, good, really, actually, I shouldn't say good, great route runner, good hands, needs to kind of put it all together, and I anticipate that he will this year. He'll have a featured role, as will new wideout Jaden Higgins from Eastern Kentucky. He's somebody that's gotten and garnered a lot of buzz really since spring ball. I saw him a little bit at these prospect camps. Certainly looks the part of like an kind of sizable wideout. And then I'll mention a couple tight ends. I've said this player on a few shows this week, Gabe Burkle. He's a young guy, David. I'll throw out there, class of 2022 tight end. Was pretty solid recruiting when somebody that's got size, muscle, can move well with the ball, block. You will see him this year, as well as Easton Dean, who's been around several years at tight end. But I think, it's kind of time for him to put it all together. I mentioned the tight ends, heavily focused and a usage there going into the fall. Those are 3 or 4 guys I'd say certainly not only to look out for, but to expect pretty solid roles here in the fall.
I feel like we kind of almost all the time we talk teams, we start quarterback, and we've kind of buried that here with Hunter Deckers. But where is he? I know there were a lot of turnovers last year, but turnovers aren't necessarily repeatable year in and year out, so it's a hard stat to really pin down on a player, or even several players. Where is he kind of in his development? What are you looking for him to do this year to kind of, take the playmakers you just mentioned and keep the offense moving in a better direction?
Yeah, so, I think there were times, he was pretty loose with the ball. I think if you watch him, that's obvious to say, but I don't think you can put all the turnovers on him from last year either. There were just times and inconsistencies really throughout the entire offense, David, that I would really hit on. And I'll be honest, after the season, though there was a clear lean, like head coach Matt Campbell, OC Nate Shieldhouse, they did kind of, imply and make it seem like there was going to be a bit of a competition at the quarterback position. I think that Deckers went into and likely left spring as the guy. And, some things were, I would say, cleaned up, specifically in his technique and, just taking better care of the football. But I think that was kind of the big thing. It seems oversimplified, but you hit it right on the head because, the expectations he showed, his flash, little bit of mobility, maybe not as much as people thought, but arm strength, really performed well in some big moments. I think of Iowa. I think of Texas down in Austin, which should have been a, perfect go-ahead touchdown to Xavier Hutchinson straight down the middle of the field. But that's kind of where I would say things are, David. I think steady growth and improvement was needed, but I think the flashes were shown.
Let's flip it over on the defensive side. That was not an issue. Iowa State lost a bunch of close games, but it wasn't because of the defense. They were number 1 across the board in the Big 12, scoring, rushing, passing, pretty much whatever metric you wanted to look at. Gave up less than 300 total yards a game. I know they lost a couple, big contributors up front, especially Will McDonald. Secondary seems to be the spot this year that they've got a really good chance to excel. Are the replacements up front maybe not 1-to-1, but are they good enough to where you shouldn't expect too much of a drop-off?
Yeah, incredible unit last year. Great job from John Haycock. And I would say definitely not 1-to-1. You're losing an all-time great. not only for Iowa State, but in the entire conference, and Will McDonald there up front. But I think a matter of coaching, I would say it's a deep unit, David. And then the secondary, I'll go on the show and say it right now. It should be the best in the conference and one of the best, probably 10 to 12 units in the entire country. Just because of you got TJ Tampa, NFL player, Miles Purchase going into a third year starting, Bo Freeler, who's gotten a lot of buzz really since his freshman year. Several other talented guys in that safety secondary, Jeremiah Cooper, Malik Verdon. Health is a big thing for the safeties. If those corners stay healthy, I feel like that's going to take off a little bit of pressure on that defensive line. So while maybe there's not quite as much high-end pass rushing ability, I still think it will definitely be, pretty impressive and a solid strength of that unit.
If you're going to be successful, and you look at the numbers last year, like if the offense scored 24 points a game, they would have won probably 3 or 4 more games. But if you're going to be successful against the defense, where is the spot that you can kind of try to make some hay at?
Yeah, I think I would probably say, because I mentioned maybe not the high-end pass rushing right now, I think if you can either run the ball very well or have a quarterback that can get the ball out quick, there's potential there. Again, I really trust that secondary. And I'll say college football fans won't recognize a lot of the names at linebacker to open the year, David.
Mm-hmm.
For ISU, they lose a couple starters. One player that was around for 5 years, I believe, at ISU, and Orion Vance. But I'm not even ready to say, look out for that spot, if you're an opposing offense, because there are some young players I'll mention here on your show. Carson Willage, true sophomore, but he redshirted, so I guess technically redshirt freshman, and then a true freshman, Jack Sadowski, in the class of 2023. Major players to look out for. It'll be interesting how far up in the rotations they might be. They still have Gary Vaughn, who's just a really solid college football linebacker. But I would say I'd put the secondary in just kind of a higher ceiling, higher experience type spot. If you can get the ball out quick, maybe you find some strengths in the short and intermediate game. But again, I expect this to be a top 18 to 20 unit overall.
How did they do against running quarterbacks? Your true dual threat guys, Jaden Daniels. I don't even know if they played Kansas last year and if he was healthy when they did play him. But just kind of like some of those type of quarterbacks, because that's what UC is going to have. Emory Jones. He's that type of guy. Is that something that has given them issues, or have they been good against pretty much all elements of the run?
Yeah, I'm thinking back to the Kansas game. Maybe it takes a while to adjust a little bit, but I think about against Martinez with K-State as well. I don't doubt John Haycock that defensive coordinator.
Oh no, a lot of people have taken his defense and kind of done their own things with it. So
it's just really, really solid, and I think that's an area I would probably consider checkmark win for Haycock.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Special teams. What's the proper word to use? Not great. Seems like maybe too nice.
They struggled. I think that's the fair way to put it. They hired a special teams coordinator, Jordan Langs, who's very well respected around the industry, certainly around the Midwest, kind of the coaching industry, I should say. I think it'll help. He's been a head coach before at another level, but still kind of the head coach variety. I think that they added some competition in the kickers room with a player like Chase Contreras, a transfer from Nebraska. Jace Gilbert is back though, and he has had really more of a confident, smooth time since spring ball. And then I understand you don't want your team to necessarily punt a lot, but they had a really good punter and, one of the best true freshmen in the entire country in Tyler Perkins last year, who was named a second-team freshman All-American.
So this season, they've got, obviously, the Iowa game. and then their Big 12 slate. What are kind of your and the fans' expectations, and then going into the season? Then what you mentioned earlier, getting back to a bowl game, is that kind of the bottom line, so to speak, and then everything from there is gravy, or is that is that going to be a struggle to get back to?
Yeah, I really like how you phrase that. I would say, you don't know me too well. I'm an optimist, so I tend to maybe, go a little bit higher. I know the fans, this is very relevant because it's been active with some of the recent recruiting kind of threads and chatter on the boards. I'd say for the fans, some are a little bit worried after last year. I think the hope is at least a bowl game. For me, I expect this team to get back to a bowl game. Obviously, wins and losses are the most important thing. I think that this is where I'm at. That schedule's not necessarily doing them any favors, specifically within conference play. That happens sometimes. I don't think the talent gap or disparity, coaching, anything like that is large between like them and several other Big 12 teams that may be favored. So I think that's really fair. I believe the line for them is around 5.5. I tend to lean the over slightly there, David, and I do think ISU should be bowling again, just based on returning talent. I mean, they lost some big names, but they brought a lot of guys left.
It feels like we kind of are like our stance is there's so many unknowns. Like we could see the Bearcats going 4-8. We could see them going 8-4, and you could tell me that either one of those happened. I can be like, oh yeah, I can totally see why that happened. The Iowa State UC game kind of falls in this, like, for both programs, like it's a pretty big game because you guys, it's in the middle of a tough 4-game run for you guys, and it's a home game for us. And if we're going to have a successful season, we've got to win pretty much all the home games outside of maybe Oklahoma. And I don't know what we did to get as favorable a schedule that we got, going into the Big 12 for the first year, but the UC Iowa State game is definitely kind of one of those games that I think the winner is probably going to feel pretty good about where they might be trending, and then the loser's probably like, that's one that we needed to get if we were going to have a year that we want.
Yeah, I completely agree. I remember seeing UC, Cincinnati's schedule early. That is something I kind of took away as well. I'm totally cool calling that maybe a toss-up game. I really like, kind of the direction of opposing teams and potentially seeing how that happens. That since he's a team, I think like Iowa State, look, since he's maybe getting a little more favorable schedule, but like you mentioned, you could see the win total really in like a 3 or 4 game type range. What is the over-under for them right now?
It opened at 4.5, moved to 5.5. They have, depending on what predictive thing you're looking at, I mean, I've seen them have 6, maybe 7 games that the projected spread is within 2.5 to 3 points.
Yep.
So, I mean, 2/3 of their schedule right now, obviously, who knows, but 2/3 of their schedule right now is quote unquote a coin flip. So
yeah, and you'll see that
if you lose a bunch of close games like Iowa State did last year, you go 4-8. If you win those close games, you go 8-4. Like it could go a whole bunch of different ways.
Yeah, and you'll see that a lot in conference play. I would say specifically in this conference. I mean, obviously with the new additions of teams, but there maybe aren't necessarily those perennial powers that you always kind of expect to take it. I know Texas, Oklahoma are leaving. They have big names, obviously, for this season. But, I mean, they haven't always had the continued and sustained success, specifically the Longhorns in that aspect. But it'll be really intriguing. I could see that game going either way.
So we'll get you out here on this one. Who is Iowa State's biggest in-conference rival, and why do you hate them?
Farmageddon.
That's not in conference.
It is.
I thought that was Iowa. It's not.
No,
that's not
Kansas State.
Oh, Kansas State.
Yeah.
Kansas State, Iowa State. Farmageddon.
Yeah, my man Chad
college sports.
He's spot on, and I think it's just because I get this sense of they're two schools with good athletics, some of the most passionate fan bases I've ever seen. And I feel like at times both of them feel kind of, maybe disrespected or looked over. And so that's just kind of like the battle for that. Obviously, geographically not too far away. I would agree with Chad, but overall, I would definitely say Iowa.
Well, please, I'll just from an overall college football standpoint, please don't let Iowa score a lot of points so that we can see Brian Ferentz get fired.
I don't think they'll be scoring.
What else does he have to do?
But I will say I think that offense improves a little bit, at least after last year.
I just love that they put a clause in his contract to where fans will be counting points and being
they have the
don't let
opportunity
their own fans are probably like, please don't score so we can finally get rid of this guy. But anyway, thanks for joining us. Appreciate you coming on after going out to dinner. Again, tell everybody where they can find you, Twitter, 24/7, wherever, whatever plugs you want to put out there.
Yeah, thank you so much, guys. This was sweet, super smooth. So I'm Nick Olson. The real Nick Olson is my Twitter. And again, Cyclone
Is there
Alert.
a fake Nick Olson?
What'd you say?
Is there a fake Nick Olson?
Well, there's somebody, I believe their name is Nico Sen. And it's spelled the same name, and they've got it like how you do my name. So yeah, I had to take that, Chad.
That's great. That's go on with your plug. I'm sorry.
Yeah, and then like you guys, part of the 247 Sports Network, Cyclone Alert is where we're at. Pumping fresh content every day. I really appreciate it.
Thanks, Nick. Anything you need, make sure you reach out, and we will.
Are you going to be? Are you coming to Cincinnati?
I hope to.
All right,
I gotta, kind of get the final go ahead, but that's what I want to get to.
If you do, reach out. I cover the team on game days as a fan, so you can come to the tailgate. We'll show you a good time and come check out the Bearcats and the Cyclones.
Awesome, I appreciate that, guys.
What are your feelings on Jello shots? Because if you go to the Simone family tailgate, they're going to offer you Jello shots. It's a staple.
Before the game, it'll make me think about it a little bit. If you save some for me after, I'm in.
All right.
Thanks, Nick. Appreciate it, man.
Appreciate it, guys. Thank you.
Thank you, Nick.
There you go. Nick Olson, Cyclone Alert, as we continue the Team Ticker tour of the Big 12.
Can I just say something?
Sure.
You know how refreshing it is to talk to people that cover teams that actually care enough for us to want to talk to them?
Yeah, it's been like we stopped trying to find people that cover the teams in the American. We just stopped. We just didn't do it anymore.
And
because they would be like, I don't really know.
And we have a lot of involved teams on the network, which makes it easier. Like,
yeah,
of course I'm gonna want to, back when in the old AAC days, we want to talk to people that are on our network, and that was hardly anybody. Like Billy at SMU site,
which he worked for LSU. Like he worked for the LSU site. The SMU site was like a sidekick.
Yeah, but it was still the most active of the other. Like Houston site was kind of there. UCF had a different guy like every 6 months. ECU was actually good, but I mean, it's a pain when you're trying to find who actually covers these teams that's willing to, come on. The best one ever though was when the guy that covered Miami, Ohio wanted us to pay him.
Yeah, how much
are you going to pay me to talk about Miami for 20 minutes? Like nothing.
$0.00.
I wonder how that goes for all of his other times that he's been asked to talk about Miami.
I can guarantee he made $0.00 doing podcasts covering Miami.
Probably so, but it's
what you should have said, like I'll Venmo you $1.
Yeah,
like $1.
Here's 69 cents.
$1 American dollar. I will Venmo it to you directly.
That had to be the first time he was ever asked, and he thought that was like a normal thing.
Yeah,
he was like,
how much does it pay?
But he also wasn't like a kid in college or right out of college. Like he was a capital J journalist of like 40-something years old.
the first time he was ever asked, and he thought that was a thing.
Probably was, but yeah, I was like, I don't even think I responded. I was like,
Nor should you have. Well done.
But no,
Natalie says maybe the Kent State Journal guys have deep pockets, and they were paying him to come on and preview Kent State. Probably Akron. Akron was he got $4.73 to go on the Akron podcast one time.
Yeah, but no, thanks to Nick, it's been enjoyable to. It's not hard to find content. It's not hard to do research. Selfishly, it goes beyond football and basketball and baseball and golf and everything else. Like it, if we're going to be real, it makes our jobs a lot easier when you have engaged people who you can send a tweet to and they actually look at their Twitter accounts and they're like, yes, I will come on and talk to you about the team that I cover.
Dave, one last thing I wanted to get to. Brett McMurphy, Action Network, number of games projected as an underdog in 2023 via the Colin Wilson.
Yeah.
Whoever the hell Colin Wilson is. He works for the Action Network.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not familiar with his work.
He has Cincinnati as a projected underdog in 10 games this year. So I would assume that means that they're only projected as the favorite against Eastern Kentucky. Or do they not do line? Well, I guess they do line. Okay.
They do.
Well, Eastern Kentucky and Miami. And then they would be projected as an underdog in all the other 10.
K Ford has them favorites in 3. But also
is it? I mean, I guess you have to ask. Like, is this like? Are we underestimating? Like, everybody seems to think that this is going to be like a 3-9, 2-10 type season for Cincinnati.
No, I don't. I mean, but you also have 6 games that are. See, that's the thing is, what were the spreads? Like, was the other team favored by 1 in 5 of the games that they're underdogs in? Well, on July 5th, I don't really care. Like, that's a pointless thing to say.
That's fair.
So, I don't know. It's not really something that I'm losing a whole lot of sleep over, or I'm going to fire off some, tweet about okay, they're only favored in 2. Are they less than 3-point favorites or 3-point underdogs? How many games are they less than 3-point underdogs in?
Right. If there's 7 games where they're the underdog by a field goal or less, that's not the same as what it looks like when you say they're the underdog in 10 of their 12 games.
Yeah.
So. Have you started a thread yet?
Why would I do that? I don't even know what that is.
It's the new Twitter.
Well, based on what I've read, it's going to make it about 4 hours. Because you can't see anything in chronological order, and you have no control over whose threads you see.
Yeah,
it's all algorithm.
Wasn't it originally supposed to be like a replacement for Slack?
I don't know, but that's the thing I don't understand. I have 3 Twitter accounts. All of them work completely fine. I don't know what all these issues are that people keep coming across.
3? What's the third? I don't know of a third.
Well, I do some side work in the realignment space.
Oh, okay. I got you.
No, I don't really. I mean, maybe I don't know. I've had no issues. So, unless everyone that breaks news and every recruit and every person that covers college football and college basketball all of a sudden is over at a different place, I'm not starting up an account.
Well, isn't this like the 4th time?
Yeah,
everybody is.
Twitter's has been dying as long as the Pac-12 has been trying to get a damn media rights deal. I mean, come on, let's be real here. If your thing doesn't work for a little while, it's not like the worst thing ever.
Yeah, it's not what she said.
Well, You don't know her like I do. But yeah, like unless like for my personal account, unless a whole bunch of people that cover the NFL just stop tweeting, then I'm probably going to be on Twitter for a while.
Here's the other thing I would say. Like they have changed. I guess today they changed. You can now see 1,000 tweets a day. Follow less people, you morons.
Thank you.
Follow less people.
Personal account, 100-something people that I follow.
I think I'm up to like 400, and most of them don't tweet. Like it's just kind of a.
They're there to see things, not say things.
Right. So like I don't get to a point where I need to scroll through 300 tweets at a time.
If it's really worth that much to you, it's as much as a cup of coffee at Starbucks for a month.
Right.
Yeah, I think everybody now, it's funny. It's the one thing that I think people are just like, I'm not giving that guy my money.
I've had but my personal account and the account that I manage, I haven't come across any of those issues. Neither of those are verified. So like, I guess maybe I'm like working in this world that nobody else is working in. Cause like I see people say things all the time about spam and direct messages and all that. And I'm like, yeah. I don't see any of these things.
Right. I don't get any of that.
Either I'm just so proficient at like scrolling and not actually reading something unless I know what I'm looking for, or I just don't get it. Like I don't get random spam DMs. I don't see all these ads. Like I don't know what the deal is. Maybe I paid for the super duper, platinum check mark thing that I don't even know about it.
Well, I mean, on the Bearcat Journal account, I paid for it.
Well, right, but that's why I look at my own too, though, because I'm like, maybe it's because we do have the check mark on the Bearcat Journal one, but like on my own one, I don't have any of these problems.
You can read 10,000 tweets a day on the Bearcat Journal account.
Oh, they changed that number already?
Yeah, apparently it's 1,000 tweets a day if you don't have a membership, and 10,000 if you do.
I mean, the 100 and something people that I follow are not tweeting 1,000 times in one day, so I have nothing to worry about. That's the thing. How much?
Tweets in a day?
Like, do some damn follower purges, and you don't have to worry about it.
And then you'll just have the tweets that you want to read.
Right.
It's why I mute people, because I don't want to see what they have to say.
I just block them.
Yeah, it's easier if you mute them, because then they don't know.
I like that they
feel
know.
Like you follow them.
You said something.
Well, there's people I want to know.
You said something so dumb that I was just like, "You're out of here."
Yeah. But yeah,
I mean, it's some of the stuff is absolutely ridiculous. Like it does like break, so to speak, far too often. But like, okay, at 2:00 on a Wednesday when I'm supposed to be working, maybe that's a sign that you should like do some more work and get off your phone.
Put the phone down, Dave. Put the phone down.
Yeah, but hey, as long as them recruits are tweeting out commitments and Cass is sending out gifts of Rick of the Nature Boy.
Yeah. Also, look, we've worked a long time to build up a very large Twitter following.
19,000
I'm
plus.
going down with that shit.
That's like I said. Unless all of a sudden everybody I need to get news from is now putting that news somewhere else, like it. So
right.
I'm fine.
All right. I don't have anything else.
Yeah, we got to talk more Peach Jam.
Oh,
Jace, our guy Jace, he's balling.
Really good. He's really good. He's
like I said.
The thing with him that. Go ahead.
Do you think he's numero uno on Wes Miller's board?
I think him and LeBaron Philon, in terms of guards,
like on the we're going hard and we can get them
both way up there. I think they stand a better chance of getting Jace than they do Philon.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people. Like everybody in the South is trying to get LeBaron.
No, if Alabama and Auburn are in there, then it's pretty crowded. Wasn't he committed to Auburn?
At one point, like briefly, yeah.
Yeah.
Where will the staff be? They will not all be at Peach Jam. Adidas is going on this weekend. If I was on the road, that's where I would have been. But we have club volleyball tryouts.
Where is Adidas?
Rock Hill, South Carolina, at a really cool spot that I liked a lot. It's kind of like Charlotte, I believe, like a subdivision or a outskirt of Charlotte. It's like 30 minutes from Charlotte, I think. They had a really cool facility. I was there last year. I liked it a ton. But I had not seen. I didn't get a chance to see Adidas this summer, and that was where I was planning to go until I found out that this weekend was select volleyball tryout weekend.
So at Peach, obviously Jace is there. Who else that is in kind of that
Tyler McKinley
target
is there.
that they're
All the Jasper Johnson, LeBaron Philon, Jaden Quintance, all the Team Thad guys are there. The family's got a couple guys from Detroit that they're looking at. That is David DeJulius's old stomping grounds. A lot of it, like, just go back and look at the coverage I had from Memphis on Memorial Day, and it's most, that's the list of guys that are going to be at Peach Jam, or at Peach Invitational, which is the teams that didn't make Peach Jam. But I think most everyone that they're after significantly made the Peach Jam. So, yeah, I'm not going to miss being in that. It's chaos at the Peach Jam. It is just insanity down there anymore. Trying to get in and out of gyms and finding a place to stand and watch. And if you've never done it, I would recommend maybe going and checking it out one year, because you can get, it's in Augusta, like it's in North Augusta, South Carolina, but you're 5 minutes from Augusta, Georgia, 10 minutes from Augusta, Georgia, which has a shit ton of hotel rooms for the Masters. Well, guess what? They don't have a lot of when the Masters is not going on.
people staying in hotel rooms.
People staying in hotels. So you can get, the cheapest hotel room you've had in years in Augusta, Georgia, to go watch the Peach.
I don't know. My brother and I were looking up hotel rooms in Reno for the NCAA tournament next year, just trying to see how low we could go.
Yeah.
How low do you think the lowest hotel room we could find?
$29.95.
Not even close.
$10.
$8 a night at a Howard Johnson, like just outside of town.
And it comes with a fresh case of herpes.
Yeah.
$8
So
a night.
we were comparing it though, because we were in Vegas for him and I were both in Vegas for a bachelor party, my buddy, and that place is just gone insane on pricing. And we were like, what about going to Reno? They got 20 casinos. It's like a little Vegas. It's 45 minutes from Tahoe. That'd be a cool place to go watch the tournament. You got like good hotel, casino, $100 a night.
Yeah. Yep.
So but yeah, $8. Not sure I'm going to be staying there.
No, that comes with it comes with the travel pack of bed bugs that you get to bring back home to your family.
I mean, I would just sleep in my car versus spending $8 to sleep in their bed.
We did run into bed bugs one night on the road.
Ugh.
So we checked into this place, and it was like we were at the.
I think I remember you telling you checked it and then left
immediately. Like, when it wasn't a good hotel. When you're staying at a bad hotel, you got to check, right?
You also know going in, like, we need
Right.
to check.
Right. So you pulled the sheets, and there was like two of them right on the corner of the bed, and took a picture And like that's definitely a bed bug. Don't take a damn thing out of your suitcase. We ended up there were no hotels. Like we had to drive like 30 minutes to get to a hotel to stay in that night because the one we were at was bed bugs immediately upon arrival. Nope. See you later.
Yeah, well, this time next week, we'll be talking. We'll definitely have Keegan on. Should we have two guests, or should he be our guest next week?
Well,
Because we're not going to have a guest the week after, because that's everybody's favorite episode of the year.
Dave on vacation. We'll have Keegan on. We probably do need to have a Big 12 guest.
Because if we're not going to have one the week after, should we have a Big 12 guest on while I'm in the pool?
No. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. We'll figure it out.
Yeah.
All right. Maybe we have a guest after. Like you do the first hour, and then we have a guest.
Yeah, but then I'm just gonna join.
Aaron's in control of whether you get put on or not.
No, I have access.
Yeah, we can take you off
from the brunch. I have all the same controls you guys do.
Oh shit. All right, that's gonna wrap it up. Thanks to our guy Nick Olson. Good stuff on Iowa State. Thanks as always to our good friends at the Holy Grail. We will see you next week. This is the BCJ podcast, brought to you by the Holy Grail, right here on BearcatJournal.com.